Well, joining me now is Jamal, director of the Palestinian Solidarity Campaign and also organiser of today's Palestine Day of Action protests. Ben, always good to see you on Sky News. Just tell us in a bit more detail what's happening today.
Well, we've got a day of action. On alternate Saturdays, we have been holding large marches in London, but in the alternating weekends, because the concern about what is happening in Gaza and the urgency of the need for a ceasefire is being felt across the country. So on alternate Saturdays, we have been organising protests and actions in towns and cities across the UK. 2 weekends ago, events took place in over 150 places. We're expecting something similar this time. And this is not just the major cities of, there are at least 12 events taking place, maybe more across London, Birmingham, Newcastle, and Manchester, etc. But also places like Worthing and Barnstaple, last time Tunbridge Wells, Abergavenny, all across the UK, people coming out to say we want a ceasefire, we want implementation of international law, we want an end to indiscriminate bombing, and we want an end to the scenes that you've just been reporting on. We're hearing this morning, obviously, that Israel is now forcibly evacuating all patients, all doctors from Gaza's largest hospital with nowhere to go. So this is a humanitarian crisis. It needs to come to an end. And that's what people are going to be saying in towns and cities across the UK today.
Last weekend was the big march, wasn't it? We've been showing aerial pictures of that. Hundreds of thousands of people who turned up for that, coinciding with Armistice Day. What's your take on how that all went?
Well, I think, first of all, obviously, this was one of the, even by police estimates, this was the second or third largest march in British political history. The only larger march was the march against the Iraq War. And it was an extremely peaceful march. And it was people, again, unified, coming to London from across the UK, marching in huge numbers. We estimated over 800,000 people, really calling for two things, as I say, calling for a ceasefire, but also calling for the rights of the Palestinian people to be respected. And in all of the demonstrations we have been doing, the urgent call is for a ceasefire and for humanitarian aid to be brought immediately to the people of Gaza. But we are also focusing attention on the fact that this is not going to end unless we address the root causes, which is Israel's ongoing military occupation. Today, part of the focus, there will be people who will be protesting outside Barclays Bank. And that's to draw attention to the complicity of our government and our corporations and companies like Barclays Bank in providing financial infrastructure to enable Israel to continue with its military occupation through financing companies supplying weapons.
And there were some ugly scenes last weekend, which I should point out were caused by right-wing, far-right supporters. How much of that do you attribute to the former Home Secretary referring to marches like yours as hate marches?
Well, look, I think, and you're right, we saw, first of all, far-right activists going to the cenotaph. I think you're showing the scenes now where they were in violent clashes with the police. There was also a cohort of far-right activists who tried to disrupt our march. The police had to put a cordon around one pub where they'd searched people, found weapons on them, and they had to put a cordon around the pub to allow us to march past. Look, my view on this is this: the people who act like that, people from the far right, pro-Israeli organizations, far-right organizations who come to cause disruption are accountable for their own actions, but undoubtedly they were given cover, they were given some degree of legitimacy when the then Home Secretary tells them that there's a hate march going through London and that there's a need for this march to be stopped. So, of course, that fueled what they were doing, but they hold responsibility for their own actions.